We're seeing the Baltimore Orioles get better and better with each passing day in the offseason, and they just made a groundbreaking move yesterday by acquiring Corbin Burns for a couple of time prospects. So they're going all in, and a lot of Blue Jay fans, including myself, expected them to take a step back and maybe not win 100 games this year, but that could be changing, and that could change everything. That the way the Blue Jays approach the offseason. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, the Baltimore Orioles, we all expected them to take a step back, and we thought that maybe 100 wins was a bit of a fluky result, considering that their advanced metrics and their expected wins was basically the same as the Blue Jays. I mean, they just won a lot more close ball games than the Jays did, so they ended up winning 100 games. They got bounced in the first round of the playoffs, but it was a very good season for them considering the expectations going into the year. And now in the offseason, they're adding on to that. And they added Corbin Burns yesterday. They traded a couple of prospects for him, Dial Hall and Joey Ortiz. So they're going all in. And now there's reports coming out that they're in on Blake Snell. They're in on JD Martinez, Gary Sanchez as well. I mean, the Baltimore Orioles are looking to make a splash here, and they just sold their team to a new owner. So, Nick, they're looking to spend money. They're looking to go all in, and they're looking to dominate the AL East for at least a decade here. At least that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and the Jays might have to pivot a little bit more than we expected. A quick reminder, hit the subscribe button before we get into it. We're on the road to 12,000. But this could change and should change the Blue Jays' plans for the rest of this offseason. Obviously, we know they signed Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. The minor moves, Justin Turner was probably the biggest one. But when you look at, that's kind of what we're discussing today, when you look at the big trade, obviously you mentioned it, the Corbin Burns trade. And this directly impacts, obviously, the Blue Jays because of the amount of times they play the Orioles, the AL East. The Orioles are a young team who are up and coming. And we both expected them to take a step back. But now they have new ownership. And it seems like they're going to be going all in, as Carlos Berga predicts and was reporting that they're going to try to go for and obtain Blake Snell and JD Martinez. Now, Peter, whether that happens is yet to be seen. He predicted the Justin Turner signing before it happened. But for the Blue Jays, how worried are you? What do you think the Jays should do? Because realistically, if the Orioles go and get these guys, even one of them, or even as it stands right now, they address their biggest need, which was Corbin Burns, which was starting pitching. They have one of the best hitting lineups, especially up-and-coming lineups in baseball. They have the number one prospect in Jackson Holliday. Like, the Jays now have to battle with the Yankees who've improved, the Orioles who've improved. The Rays were always, going to be the Rays. The Jays need to make a bigger move, and I think a bigger move is going to come now. And Ross Atkins is not one to, panic and make a move, but I think they have to put their chips a bit further ahead here before it's too late.
Go one of two ways. I mean, either they go all in, the Blue Jays do, or they start building for the future. I mean, those are the two ways that this could possibly go. I'd like to see them try and acquire some more assets for the upcoming season. But the Baltimore Orioles, I mean, we thought they would be a problem for sure in the near future. But the Angelos family basically came out and said, "Oh, we're not going to sign these guys, and it's going to be tough to keep these guys past their ARB years or their arbitration years." So now that may change. That may change with the Rubenstein family coming in and already looking to spend money. They're spending money on Corbin Burns. They're looking to get marquee free agents. So on top of those big time prospects and those fantastic young players that they already have, if they start spending money too, I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster for the rest of the AL East. And yeah, the Blue Jays do need to counter those moves with moves of their own. And whether it's a pitcher, whether it's another hitter, which I believe they still desperately need, remains to be seen. But yeah, the Jays need to counteract these moves and do something of their own because the Baltimore Orioles just got significantly better. They added one of the best pitchers in baseball, and they're looking to add even more, according to Carlos Baerga, who hasn't been wrong much this offseason. So let's hope that the Blue Jays wake up and try to rival the Baltimore Orioles because we saw that getting into the wild card race and sneaking into the playoffs as one of the lowest seeds, it doesn't help you in the end. And that's how you go out with a 2-0 blown lead or whatever. That's how you lose two in a row and you go home and your season is over. So you want to win the division, you want to try to play some home games in the playoffs, and then you go from there.
Yeah, that's what Keegan Mathins has said, and there's a lot of different reactions on Twitter. A lot of Jays fans aren't happy, or I guess not necessarily happy, but a bit worried. Mike says here that the Vlad Bow window's closing. One of the things about A's tenor, basically comparing what Alex Anthopoulos does, which isn't necessarily fair to Atkins. And the point is that the window is closing in the sense of our starting pitching staff is not getting younger. Vladdy and Bow are approaching free agency. At what point, and Peter, you've kind of mentioned it a bunch. At what point do the Jays do something bigger than just go for, floor raisers? Because in this case, Corbin Burnes is a ceiling raiser for the Orioles. He's also a floor raiser, one of the best pitchers in baseball. He declined a little bit last year and regressed, but he's going to be a problem for the Toronto Blue Jays. And, they didn't have to give up too much to acquire him, but if you're the Blue Jays and you're Ross Atkins, do you go out now and do you spend on whether it's Jorge Soler, Cody Bellinger, make a big trade? I don't know what other option they have because at this point in time, this is very, very worrisome and maybe it pushes them to do a big deal, but they do not have a choice, I don't think, at this point, especially for this offseason. You can't wait another year, and when you're looking at the players available, there is some, but if the Orioles go out and get these two, you can probably consider them AL East favorites again, even though they won it last year.
Yeah, I would. I would definitely consider them favorites right now, and especially if they land even one of Snell or JD Martinez, then they're even higher up on that list for me. But I look at this Blue Jays lineup right now, Nick, and I don't see many guys that are able to hit against Corbin Burnes. I don't see it. And uh, yeah, sure, if Vladdy has a good game, he can knock a couple. And same thing with Bo, and same thing with George Springer, Justin Turner. But you look up and down this lineup, they're very susceptible to righties with very good stuff, and Corbin Burnes just has that. And they have Kyle Bradish, who had a very good season last year. The AL East is just very good when it comes to starting pitching. Garrett Cole is in there. You expect a bounce back season out of Carlos Rodon. There's going to be some tough matchups for this Blue Jays team. And right now, as it stands, I don't see them being able to match up with those big time starting pitchers with the way that their lineup is currently constructed. But that's why you got to counter these moves that the other teams are making within the division with a move of your own, like a Cody Bellinger. And couple days ago, my tune was a little bit different, saying maybe you didn't have to spend on Cody Bellinger. $250 million for a guy who's had some down seasons might not be smart. But now they're forcing the issue, and the pressure is on you to make something happen. And there's not much out there on the market aside from Cody Bellinger and Matt Chapman. And I don't know if Matt Chapman really moves the needle as much as Cody Bellinger does.
Yeah, and again, like I mentioned earlier, Ross Atkins is not one to panic or do anything regarding that. But I think at this point they have to do something. If they stay with the same way, who knows? Obviously, Ross Atkins is banking on a lot of bounce backs for a lot of the Jays players, but I don't know if you can bounce back. I don't know if you can rely on bounce backs going forward for a team that just got, your division is absolutely loaded. Yankees got Juan Soto. Orioles got supposedly a couple of these guys and one of the best pitchers in baseball. So it's going to be interesting to see. But any quick final thoughts on this before we wrap it up? The Jays need to make a move and another move. And the tune has definitely changed over the past couple days. And I still think the Justin Turner signing is great. I just think we need one more move now. And I think Atkins might do it.
I do agree with you, Nick, that a move does have to come and that you can't necessarily rely on bounce backs. But at the same time, your team won't be great if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has another subpar season. He's that good of a hitter. He's that talented. And for him to hit 25 home runs in a season and drive in less than 100 and an OPS under 800, that would do the Blue Jays in. With all fairness, he has to be better. So, yeah, you do need to add some pieces. You do need to make the lineup a little bit more potent and give him that protection. But the team will go as far as Vladdy and Bo take them, and it's been that way for a few years now, and they just haven't gone as far as they should have. So, yeah, they do need to bounce back, but they also do need some pieces to insulate them in that lineup.
Yeah, I think they need both. And maybe one of these guys on your screen right now will be one of the signings to take them over the top. Who knows? But that'll wrap it up. Let us know in the comments if you're worried, if you think the Jays need to make a move. I'm sure most Jays fans out there do. If you want to check out a video from yesterday, click on your screen now. See you tomorrow.